When I'm feeling down, I can't win. Pour a strong cup of coffee and I tune in. I'm waking on up to Java with Jim. Now I know my best day can begin. Yeah.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of Java with the Jims. My name is Jim Meyer, broker associate at Remax Gold. Now you have a friend in the real estate business. I'm here with my good friend Kierre Stowes, who is a film critic, and he runs the SactownMovie Buffs Film Festival. I'm drinking my coffee out of my Placer Title Company mug. Thank you, Placer Title. Kierre, what are you drinking? You drinking coffee today or water?
Today I'm going with the trusty water.
Okay, I'm drinking my coffee. I like my coffee the way I like my politicians, completely devoid of human dignity. Kierre, you are passionate about filmmaking. Where did this passion come from?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I grew up. My parents are military, so I spent a lot of time living overseas, and we just didn't have access to a lot of cable American channels and things of this nature growing up. And so I spent a lot of my pastimes, if I wasn't playing sports or video games, watching movies. And I think it just kind of came from there. So growing up in the 80s and 90s, I spent a lot of time living in Germany and Japan. And so we would, our pastime was a lot of times just watching films. So, you could rent movies for, I don't know, back in those days, you could 5 movies for $1 or something like that. And so I spent a lot of time just renting films and watching movies. And I just always have had a love for film and filmmaking, and just appreciate the art immensely.
And it's sort of in your blood, and you probably, if you weren't doing something in the world of film, you'd probably go a little crazy, right?
Probably so. I feel like I always have to have some sort of connection to film. Like I said, I'm not a director by any means, but I definitely have, been part of some, short films and did some things in college and have acted in a couple short films and things of this nature. So filmmaking and film in general has always been a passion of mine, and I probably would go crazy if I didn't have that as an outlet.
Do you have a favorite film?
I do. I'm a big Quentin Tarantino fan, so Pulp Fiction for me is probably my favorite film. There's just so much to unpack in that film, and it's like one of those films that really can't be classified as one particular genre. And I like films that are like that. That is it a comedy? Is it a drama? Is it an action film? I don't know. It's everything. So, and I like films that kind of push those boundaries and do things with timelines and things of this nature. And that's kind of why that ends up being one of my favorite films.
Now, I'm always asking myself, he messes around with the timeline. What do you think his inspiration was for that?
I know he has a lot of influences from filmmakers from like the 70s and like the 60s, and a lot of those grindhouse films that used to do some things like that, where they used to mess around with some of the timelines and things of this nature. And so I know that he they borrowed from a lot of his people that he was influenced by and kind of made it into a style of his own. But I love films that kind of play with timelines. Memento is another one that does that, where it like kind of begins at the end and kind of backs up to the beginning of the film and tells a complete whole story. So I like the films that play with that. So.
Right. Yeah. Very, very creative. So if I wrote you a check right now for $10 million, and you made a movie, what would we be seeing on the silver screen?
That's a great question. I don't consider myself a director, but it would be something wild and crazy, something an action film, probably something that definitely, pushes the boundary, a lot of foul language, a lot of gore, a lot of bloodletting, because those are the types of films that I gravitate towards. So those would be the types of films that I would probably make. So
it sounds like you want to make one based on my marriage, but Kierre, will you come back tomorrow?
Absolutely, I'll be back tomorrow.